that a Tuesday wine has to be an inferior wine, I can see that there are some fantastic bottles of La Rioja Alta being opened this evening, especially for tonight. So that's a joy to see. So we have got a very special evening. We've got 1 hour ahead of us. We are really, I guess, the main purpose of this evening is to talk about the wine that we've just launched. We launched it on Friday, which is the 874 2019, but it also gives us a really good excuse to spend some time with Stefan and Julio from La Rioja Alta to tell us a little bit about the history and the background of the bodega. Stefan is responsible for, he's the head of or director of export, and in fact has worked in Rioja, not just at La Rioja Alta, but with another very close supplier of the Wine Society, who supply the society with the society's Crianza Rioja, and he decided to move up market to La Rioja Alta a few years ago. Julio takes care of all of the winemaking, so in fact it's really close work that Julio and I do every year to put together the blend of 874, which this year for the 2019 was a nice welcome return to doing it actually in Haro, in Rioja, because I haven't been able to get out to Rioja for the last 2 years for obvious reasons. Just before I hand over to Stefan, just to say a few things about the relationship really between the Wine Society and La Rioja Alta. The Society's worked with these wines for probably 2 decades, and in particular in the last sort of 10 years, the relationship has really strengthened with the launch of the Society's exhibition Rioja Reserva, a wine that comes from La Rioja Alta. You know, I think the reason the relationship is so strong is really down to members. Members adore the style of Rioja that is the hallmark of this bodega's philosophy, that being a Rioja that is really carefully aged for a relatively long time, but it's done with such sensitivity and also with such high quality fruit and wine that the wines support this fantastic long aging, and they develop into these extraordinary wines that are generally approachable on release, but they do last for years in bottle. So I think it's fair for me to say that not only are these wines really, really popular with members, but they're also really popular in my home here because we adore this style of wine, and it just works really well with all sorts of different food, and we'll get into the detail in a minute. Nevertheless, and without further ado, what I'm going to do now is hand over to Stefan, who's going to tell us a bit about the bodega. So welcome this evening, Stefan from Spain.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pierre, for this very nice introduction. It's a pleasure for us to be here tonight with all your members. As you mentioned, we do have a very special relationship between Rioja Alta and the Wine Society members. You and me have been working for many years already, and I just wanted to say that this 874 wine that we work together is something unique. It's something that we do not do with any other customer in the world, and it's all because of this special relationship that we have for 3 years. So I'm going to be very brief because I'm pretty sure that most of you you already know the company. You probably also have visited the winery, but I have to introduce a little bit the company. So I'm gonna say that it's a company that has been founded in 1890. It has been founded by 5 families from Bilbao, 3 of them who still carry the name of the brands that we sell. So Family Ardanza, Family Arana, and Family Alberti are founders of this historical company. We are located in Aro, as you probably know, in the train station neighborhood, which is a very unique and special place in Rioja, where most of the history of Rioja has been created. The name of the company sometimes can be a little bit confusing because La Rioja Alta is obviously the name of the group, is the name of the main winery, La Rioja Alta, and it's also the name of one of the three sub-regions in Rioja. So as you probably know, there is Rioja Alavesa, Rioja Alta, and Rioja Oriental. So sometimes the name of the company is needs to have some explanations behind. The group is made of 4 wineries, the main one being La Rioja Alta in Aro. We also have another winery in Rioja Alavesa, it's called Torre de Oña, where we do a more modern approach of Rioja. And in the late 90s, we acquired a winery in Rías Baixas called Lagar de Cervera, from where we produce 2 wines, Lagar de Cervera as a wine, and Paso de Seoane, which is also a wine that is sold through the Wine Society as an exclusive wine to the UK. And then Julio will give you a bit of details afterwards on this wine. And finally, we also have a winery in Ribera del Duero called Aster. And the 4 wineries all together means that we have around 700 hectares of vineyards. So 500 will be in Rioja, and the 200 will be split between Rías Baixas and Aster. So as a philosophy, it's very important to say that every wine that is produced at La Rioja Alta Group comes from our vineyards. And this is, for us, something extremely important because this is the only way we can really control exactly what happens in the vineyard. I think the most important point for any winery in the world is to be able to get the best grapes inside the winery. And for us, this is a mandatory philosophy, and obviously the only way is acquiring and owning the vineyards. The other aspect that makes La Rioja Alta quite unique is that apart from controlling the vineyards, we control also everything that help us to age the wines. So it means that, as you know, the wines from La Rioja Alta are aged in American oak for a long time, and everything that is around the oak is also controlled by the company. So that means that we buy the wood from the US, and we dry ourselves the wood in Aro during 2 years, and then we make every single barrel at the company. So both the grapes and the aging is something that is absolutely under control. As I said, 100% of the barrels from La Rioja Alta are American oak, which is slightly different in our other wineries. So the philosophy also means that we have to combine the best technological techniques, together with the ancestral methods of winemaking. So it's all about the balance to make sure, as I said before, to get the best grapes inside the winery, but respecting a way, an art of making wine, which is considered to be a very classic style of winemaking in Rioja. What else? I mean, I could talk during hours about the company, but if I have to pick 2 words to define the company, one would be the quality, which is something absolutely non-negotiable inside La Rioja Alta, and the other word would be the patience. Some of our wines are aged for more than 12 years. So imagine a little bit all the philosophy that needs to be implemented behind to make sure that we release the wines 12 years after harvesting the grapes. So that's long time, long periods, and it's something quite unique in the wine business in Spain. Finally, we have, as I said, 4 wineries. We have 5 brands in Rioja Alta. We have 2 brands in Torredeuña, 2 brands in Ribera del Duero, and 2 brands in Rías Baixas. Through the Wine Society, we sell Paso de Soane as a wine from Urrosal, from Rías Baixas. We also sell our very iconic Viñar Danza Reserva 2012. And then finally, we do this project, this common project together that sees the light with the 874 that Pierre and Julio work on every year for you, uniquely and exclusively for you. So I'm gonna pass the baton to Julio, who is our head winemaker. He's the one that makes my job very easy, and he's the one that has been creating this wine with Pierre.
Oh, sorry, Julio. I don't think your mute's coming off. I'll just try one more time.
Tienes que hacerlo tú, Julio.
Now, okay. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Pierre. Thank you very much, Wine Society, to invite us to this amazing meeting with all of your members. Thank you very much. Sorry for my English. I think my job is easier than my English, and I expect that you understand me well. Okay, if you have some question or you don't understand me something, Pierre or Stefan, thank you very much if you can help me. Okay, I think, Pierre, every year for us is a certain time to make a new vintage of A74, because several years ago we start with this amazing project. It's very, very funny to me to work with you, because I learn a lot. I think you give me some tips about your customers and some news about the philosophy of the new consumer. For my job is very, very important. Every year have the same time with you. I think for both it's a made A74 is like a journey, because every time we are looking for the best blend to your customer, for the people, and I think to me it's very, very exciting. I always give you some sample of different lots of wines, and we never see the papers to see what is the best blend. Always the best blend is our sensation, our testing. You give me okay. I prefer a little bit with more nuts, or a little bit with less Graciano. Something exciting for me, and I learn a lot, because it's very, very. It's like a game for me. It's like it's something special for my job. Okay, this vintage of 2018 of this new A74. I am very happy with the final result of the wine, because the vintage was excellent in Rioja, and all of the lot that we tasting during the time we were making the blend, in my opinion, the level was higher than the previous year. I think the quality of the wine of this particular vintage is higher than, for example, 18 or 17. The reason is it was because the year was amazing, was incredible, was a very freshness time. The grapes in this year was fantastic, but in my opinion, one of the best things in this year was the last time, just before of the we made the harvest. We have a lot of days of sunny days, and the temperature at night was very, very low. And the result in the grapes was that we have grapes with a very good ribes, very high in aromas, very high in colors, and the tannics was very, very around. The raw material was very, very good to make the blend. Well, this blend of this year is 82% of Tempranillo, but the Tempranillo came from different plots, from different vineyards of La Rioja Alta. And something exciting of this blend is that you can taste in the same bottle different Tempranillos. For example, we have Tempranillos that is came of the middle of Rioja with more structure, more color. We have Tempranillos in the blend with less structure, but better acidity and better freshness. And we have Tempranillos from another vineyard of Rioja, of La Rioja Alta in the highlands with long aging capacity. These three pairs of Tempranillo is around of 82%. We have in the blend 60% of Garnacha. The Garnacha came from a particular vineyard of Rioja Oriental. The village is to the Lilla, and our vineyard is like I told you, Pierre, like our little Chateau Chateauneuf de Pape, because all of the vineyard is covered by pebbles, and the result of the Garnacha is incredible. Very fruity, with a very good color, very good structure, and the tannins is very, very around. I remember that we was talking long time about the more or less Graciano, and my opinion was a little bit more Graciano, and your opinion was a little less Graciano. Yes, do you remember? And it was the result. It was more or less 2% of Graciano. I like it because the Graciano improving the aging capacity of the wine. Probably, no, it's the sure. It's the unique wine of La Rioja Alta with the three varieties in the blend. We haven't another wine in La Rioja Alta in the case of Viña Alberdi or Viñardanza or the Grande Reservas. Only in this wine, A74 is the three varieties of Rioja in a bottle: Tempranillo, Garnacha, and Graciano. And in my opinion, it's very, very exciting. The result is incredible. The wine passed in barrel, in American barrel, more or less 2 years, 26 months, depending on the lot, but the result could be, the average could be 2 years. We make a manual racking every 6 months. And just in the last days of May, or last days of May, we made the bottling. Now the wine is in our cellar. I tasted this morning the wine. I like it a lot because probably it's a new result of A74 with a more freshness wine, a little bit more fruity, but with the elegance and the complexity of the Rioja Alta wines. I like this wine for something special because in this wine, in this brand, you can taste the philosophy of La Rioja Alta, the philosophy of the Rioja wines, the Rioja classic wines, and the philosophy of the blend of the blend. Now, a lot of people, they are talking about the singular vineyards, the wine of a plot, but in my opinion, for made Grande Reservas, for made Reservas of Rioja Alta, I prefer the blend of the very good part of different areas. It's my opinion. I think there are very good, fantastic, amazing singular wines. But in my opinion, to make classic Rioja wines, I prefer the blend of different varieties, the blend of Tempranillos, the blend of different areas of Rioja. That is my opinion of the wine.
And I think, Julio, that was fantastic description. And I guess it just to share my perspective, you know, it's always a privilege because I feel like we're given at the Wine Society backdoor access to your blending skills. And I think the one thing that is such an underrated part of the winemaking process is blending, and just how important blending can influence the style and the quality of a final wine. It's incredibly difficult to do, and you know, we do start with each blend looking at each individual component, and I try not to look at which particular vineyard the Tempranillo has come from, because I know that that will influence my judgment. So I try very hard to chase the components on their own and analyze their structural quality, and you start to see the wines that stand out. But what's fascinating is you'd think that a wine with lower tannin might blend with a wine with higher tannin, but you put the two together and it doesn't work. And there is quite a skill which is such an important part of Rioja. And I'm pleased to hear you'll say, you know, the blending in Rioja is key to this long-aged style that you're so good at doing. Yeah, the 2019, I was looking at the technical information, and we chose Tempranillo from 3 different vineyards.
Yes.
El Palo, La Cuesta, and Briñas.
Sí.
The Garnacha, as you said, from 1 vineyard, and the Grappiano from 1 vineyard. And there's been on the chat, actually, a few people, I think, have opened the 2017 874. How do you see the difference between the 2017 874 and the 2019?
I think 19 is, in my opinion, in the case of 17, could be a little bit more world wine, more powerful wine, in my opinion. Now, 19, in my opinion, is more, it has a more Atlantic character of the wine and more freshness, better acidity, better aging capacity. I think we are improving the quality of the blend because the year is better.
Yeah.
17 was a very tricky year because it was the year of the ¿cómo se dice? The frost.
The frost.
And we must looking for a better lot to make the blend, the final blend. This year, the quality is higher than the 17. Probably the 17 is with more structure, more body, a little bit more alcohol content, and more tannic wine. But in the case of 19, I think is with more velvety, with more elegance and more aging capacity. In my opinion, the blend, sorry,
the official rating from the Consejo in Rioja for 19 is excellent.
19, excellent.
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 That's very important.
And 17, very good. In my opinion, now the blend of the 19 could be a reserva with the, but I think with more time in bottle could be a very good Grand Reserva because the blend is a blend typical to make a Grand Reserva.
Well, there you go. That's
the aging capacity in bottle of the 19 is better, and in 2 or 3 years later could be like a Grand Reserva Rioja, in my opinion.
That's good to hear. I'm just picking up on a question about the drinking window on the 87419, which is our drinking window. John Kavanagh has put a question about it being it seems quite short to 2030. I guess I can't disagree. I set the drink dates, and I put my hand up. My drink dates are relatively cautious drink dates. So I think the wine will easily last beyond 2030. We would review it again probably at about 2028. and potentially extend that drink date depending on what the wine tastes like in a few years' time. But to be perfectly honest, the La Rioja Alta wines, because they have been made in such an oxidative fashion, with contact with oxygen, with regular racking in barrels, these are wines that when they're put into bottle, they are already very resilient and robust and able to support very, very long aging. The question is, how long do they continue to improve versus how long do they last? And I think if we knew the answer for every vintage, it would be ideal, but every wine has slightly different components. Yeah, as I said, just to summarize, really, the drink dates in general are relatively cautious drink dates rather than, best before dates, if that makes sense. And Julio, Anna's just posted a question. How does it compare alongside? Yeah, so Julio, how does the 874 wine compare alongside some of your other wines? So, for example, the two reservas that members of the Wine Society will know well are the Ardantha and the Exhibition Reserva. How do you compare 874 with those two wines?
I think I'm not sure where we can put the blend. It's completely different of Viñardanza, and it's completely different of the exhibition. I'm not sure. Probably Viñardanza could be a reserva with more structure, more body, and more spicy character.
Could be close to Ardantza in the sense that it's the only wine that we produce at La Rioja Alta that has also Garnacha. I mean, normally the Garnacha is only for Viñardanza.
But the Pierre, when we made the testing, we saw that when we put a little quantity of Graciano, the blend changed a lot. And I think the Graciano changed a lot the character of the wine if we compare with Viñardanza.
The Graciano is only used for Gran Reservas.
Only used for Gran Reservas.
And the Garnacha, we only use it for Viñardanza. So the answer would be, the easy answer would be, it's a wine in between Viñardanza and our Gran Reservas.
In Spanish, please, ¿puedes traducirme?
Sí, que la respuesta idónea sería decir que es un vino que se sitúa entre Viñardanza y nuestras Gran Reservas. Because
but this is a little bit tricky. I don't understand very well. I don't understand. Probably if we compare with Viñardanza, probably Viñardanza with more body, more structure, and less freshness. If we compare with the another wine, probably is with more complexity, with more body. No, sir. I think it's a different wine, and I like it. The idea of have a new wine with different character is the philosophy of the La Rioja Alta wines more than the philosophy of very close to Viñardanza or another wine of La Rioja Alta.
Exactly.
And Julio, could you spend some time just telling us a little bit more about the Exhibition Rioja Reserva?
There. Well, Exhibition Rioja is we selecting different vineyards, different plots of the vineyards to make a unique wine for you. It's a 100% Tempranillo, but we are looking for a Tempranillo with more character, more structure, more body, and better acidity. I like it because the exhibition have a very good long aging capacity. I like it because the aging in barrel, we use different barrels than, for example, in the case of another wines, we are looking for a little bit more proportion of new barrels to improving the character of exhibition. It's a selection just for you. We select in every year different plots of Tempranillo of Rioja Alta area. We are looking for Tempranillos with a fruity character, with a very good acidity, because they need to aging in this barrel. And I think exhibition, it pass the tiny bottle is very, very good for this wine, because you can enjoy with this oldest vintage of exhibition, and now they are fantastic. And it remember a little bit like in some case, not at all, like a Gran Reserva. It's very classic Rioja wines, in my opinion.
Julio, we've had a question about, because we commented on the 2017 874, but Paul Maxfield has got some 2018 874 he's reserving in his cellar. Could you tell us a little bit about 2018?
Well, Stefan, I understand the question is a little bit about the vintage of 19, no?
De cómo
18, 18.
La mezcla del 18, sí.
Well, I think the 18 year was difficult in Rioja, because we have two different harvests. The first time was a harvest with very soft wines, very not a very good quality of the wines, and we decide buy back these wines. But in the case of the 18, we maintain in our cellar the wines from the second harvest time, because the quality was better and better. This year we only produced Viñalverdi. We don't make Grande Reservas 904 or 890 or Viñardanza, and the best grapes of this particular year was to make Viñalverdi and to make your blend. I think I don't remember very well and now what is the final blend, but I remember we put a little bit more quantity of Garnacha. I don't remember very well. Could be.
We did 25% Garnacha.
25% of Garnacha and 5% of Graciano.
Correct. Yes.
And 5%, and the rest was Tempranillo. The reason was because we had a very good quality of the Garnacha this year. Very fruity, with a very good character. The color was amazing. I think the 18 is a very good blend, because we use a little bit of the grapes. That's a normal year we used to make 904 or 890, and in several plots that we decided recollecting to make the blend came from this particular vineyard.
This is, I think, something really that I just like to pause, because I think this is something really so important about Rioja, and how important it is that wine lovers of Rioja really follow a bodega or a producer, because the good bodegas do what you do, which is in a year where the vintage is good, but maybe not very good, you don't make your top wines. No. So you don't make a Gran Reserva. You normally have 2 Gran Reservas, but so the fruit that would normally go into those, you put into the lesser or the lower levels, but we're still at high level. But you know, all the Gran Reserva fruit goes into Reserva. So actually, one of the things that's and I tell a lot of my friends this, often the exhibition Rioja actually is best in the vintages that are less successful in Rioja, because La Rioja Alta won't make a Gran Reserva in a less successful vintage. So you're getting the benefit of the fruit from Gran Reserva put into a wine for earlier drinking. I think it's a really key thing, because actually one of the weaknesses of the aging requirements in Rioja is that the only criteria is that you age the wine for a certain period of time in order to qualify for Crianza Reserva or Gran Reserva. There's no criteria about the quality of what you put into the barrel or what you put into the bottle. So you have to follow a producer that you trust that puts the best quality into the bottles and barrels that make a Reserva or Gran Reserva. And it's often why I'm sometimes asked, why can't the Wine Society have a Gran Reserva Rioja like a supermarket does when a supermarket sells it for £8 a bottle? Well, the reason is that the quality just doesn't stand up. It might say Gran Reserva, but it's not the kind of Gran Reserva that our members expect. We've had quite a few questions, and I know we were going to save questions to the end, but I think I'm just going to crack on because there's a great sort of dialogue, I think, and conversation going on.
Absolutely, we've had so many questions, so I think it's worthy of our time to just jump right into them because they're really fruitful questions. So I'd be very happy. Pierre, I don't know whether you've got some. I've got plenty as well. So what I'll do is I'll loiter on camera, and then as and when you want me to jump in with another one, I've gathered plenty behind the scenes.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. So I mean, I'm probably not keeping up with everything on the chat, so I'll have a go at some of them. This is an easier one. So Will Stanley asking, will the 2019 874 be available on general sale when in bottle next year, or should it be bought en primeur now? My advice is to buy it now en primeur. So what I can tell you, the offer closes, I think it's tomorrow or Thursday. I think it's tomorrow. And we have already had demand for our first reserve on the wine. So we think, having had a chat with Julio before the session, he has bottled a bit more than we reserved. So we are probably going to be able to satisfy the demand for the en primeur offer, but it will mean it's highly unlikely we will be buying extra to then sell through our normal website or list next year. So if you want it, I would go for it. Yeah, jump on it now, Will. It's seriously worth it.
I have another en primeur question, if
yes.
it's all right, Pierre, just whilst we're talking about the en primeur in general, because Damien Gartland has asked, oh, pardon me, I don't think it was Damien. We had a question from Paul. Rioja has traditionally only sold wines after aging and when ready to drink, but in recent years there have been these en primeur offers, especially. I know that we do a couple. Will this trend continue? And would it potentially in the future include other traditional blends? Would there be a wider range available, particularly of La Rioja Alta, like they do for Bordeaux, Burgundy, etc.?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I don't actually think there is a trend for doing en primeur Rioja, to be honest. And actually, the reason we define 874 as en primeur, and also the one we do with Contino, the 937, the 93 series. The reason those are offered en primeur is because they are genuine en primeur in the sense that we are offering these wines to members before the winemaking process is finished. In order for us to make the offer, I have to, it sounds like a terrible job, doesn't it? I was going to say I have to, as though it's really hard work. I mean, it is hard work, but I can't say it's not fun work. I go to Rioja and I have to put the Wine Society's name and reserve an allocation for us before the winemaking process is finished. That's at the blending stage. And with Rioja being Rioja, like the 87419, we blended that in June. It was, when was it bottled, Julio? The 19?
May.
No, can't have been, because I blended in June, didn't I?
Mhm.
Julio,
Okay, sorry.
when did we blend the 874, the 19? End of May, beginning of June?
Maybe in May or first time of April. I don't remember well.
Well,
In
my records show
May,
May,
the last
end
day
of
in
May,
May,
beginning of June. Yeah.
and we made the bottling in.
That's right. I've got my dates wrong. I wasn't there in June. I've just
Okay,
looked at my notes. Yeah, I was there in May. Anyway, so it gets bottled and then it has to age in bottle for a period of time before it can qualify for reserva. So, cut a long story, I don't see more en primeur happening from Rioja.
And it's not a trend.
Simply because they're offered generally ready to drink. Some of the more modern styles, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, we might offer some sort of first release, pre-shipment style in bond offers, but they'll be quite distinct from en primeur.
Yeah, to answer completely that question is I think something quite unique for the Wine Society, and that's not something common in Rioja.
No.
So it's absolutely exclusive.
Thank you. Would you mind if I asked a couple more questions about the about this offer, and then I have got some questions about your other wines as well. But Mark has asked an interesting question, Julio. He's very interested to learn a little more about Graciano. He's noted that some other producers, some of their single varietal Graciano is the most expensive of their range. So could you tell us a little bit more about why you love Graciano so much, Julio? Well, you alluded earlier that you wanted more.
It's amazing variety for the blend. I don't like it when I taste the Graciano alone because it's very hard, the acidity is very high, the tannic is very stronger, but it's incredible when you put in the blend only a little proportion, only 1%, 2%, 3%, the blend changing a lot, and it made the wine completely different. And I think the Graciano improving a lot the elegance, the complexity, and the aging capacity of the wine. I don't like the Graciano when I taste alone. It's very, very strong. I don't understand very well to bottle this wine. But when we made a little bit with the Tempranillo, with a very good Tempranillo, because if you put not a very good ripe Tempranillo, the blend is horrible. You need something special and the result is incredible. And when you taste the wine several years later, 10, 15 years later, a curiosity, in the 18th, Pierre, in the 18th, we was reading the tasting note of the Piñardanza of the 17th, of the 18th of La Rioja Alta. In some case, we put a little bit of Graciano. Incredible, but for example, in 78 and 81 of Piñardanza, we have a little bit of Graciano.
Wow.
Interesting.
The previous winemaker of La Rioja Alta, we write some notes above of the Graciano. But in this time, the Graciano was very low in the vineyard and probably was blending with the Tempranillo in the vineyard. And when the winemaker made the wine, just the blend was in the first moment, just when they recollecting the grapes. Now I prefer different vineyards of Tempranillo and different location for the Graciano. But the Graciano is, my opinion, is the best variety to make classic Grand Reservas of Rioja.
Thank you so much. Oh, Stefan, you look like you might want to.
No, the thing is Pierre was talking about jumping vintages before, and Julio has just mentioned that when the Graciano is not ripe enough, it's one of the most relevant decisions that we make at the winery for jumping vintages. I mean, the key of Grand Reservas is the maturity of the Graciano.
Yeah,
that's very, very important for us.
It's the same of the Garnachas. to make Viñardanza. For example, 2011 was an excellent year in Rioja, excellent. But this year we don't produce Viñardanza, we don't make Viñardanza because the garnacha, in our garnacha in this year, the quality was very, very poor. And we decided not to make Viñardanza 2011, excellent year. We have A90, we have 904, we have a fantastic Tempranillo, but the garnacha was very, very low. And we decided not make Gran Reservas. It's the same with the Graciano, with the 2014. The Tempranillo was incredible. And we have very good Graciano, but we don't make 904 or A90. We made Viñarana of a low quantity of bottles of Viñarana, but we don't produce a 904 or A90 because the quality of the garnacha and the quantity was not enough to make the A90 or 904. Is the blend, in my opinion, the exit of the blend is when all of the components of the blend, the quality is very, very high. If one of them is lower than the another, the quality lower a lot. In the wine, 1 + 1 is not 2, never.
I like that. I like that comparison. Sometimes 1 + 1 is 10 with La Rioja Alta. So, I would just ask one more question on this particular wine, because Simon, Jan, John, and Graham, so there's 4 of them, I think, tasting together this evening, have asked if you could comment on the terroir involved in 874. I think they probably mean the locations. You mentioned earlier, Julio, that it's a blend of lots of different sites. What sort of things are you looking for in those sites when you blend the 874?
Can you help me, Stefan?
Sí, las características del
suelos.
terroir, de los suelos, de donde provienen los viñedos del 874.
Well, in the case of the Tempranillo, we have 3 different vineyards, completely different. One of the part is very close to the Ebro River, and we have more alluvial terroir. But the highlands, the another 2 lots, another plot, come from the highlands of La Rioja. Yeah, and then we have more calcareous and more calcareous terroir, in my opinion. In the case of the garnacha came from the Rioja Oriental, and the soil is, I told you before, the surface is like all of them is covered by pebbles, and behind of the surface we have a little bit of clay, more clay. And in the case of the Graciano, came from a particular vineyard, just in one of the, ¿cómo se dice meandro? In English, Pierre.
A meander, yeah. The bend in the river.
Yeah, right. Meander.
Yes. It's
meander.
Yeah, it's just in the middle of Rioja. In this part, the soil, they are more blend of calcareous and clay.
So it's a mixture of plenty of different soils.
It's a mixture. The amazing thing of this wine is a mixture of a lot of things, a lot of soils, a lot of Tempranillos, a lot of varieties, a lot of sufareas of Rioja. It's all in a bottle.
It's very important to say that although in France, historical wineries are known to be linked to a terroir, a specific vineyard, in Rioja, it's a little bit the opposite. When we talk about a classic wineries like La Rioja Alta, it's all about blending different vineyards and different plots to get that consistency and that personality, which is very important for the wines. I mean, not relying on a very specific vineyard, but being able to do that blending into from different places of Rioja, and that's the essence of a classic winery in Rioja. And in that sense, I think Julio is one of the best master blender in Rioja, I think.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I have one question has been asked twice by two people, so I feel you should certainly ask it. It is about the exhibition reserva versus Alberdi, because they are both 100% Tempranillo, I understand. And so what should members expect the differences between those two wines?
They're the same wine.
They're the same wine. There we go.
They are the same wine. Yeah, there's no we love the wine so much we put our label on it. So it's not a specific cuvee for the Wine Society. But yeah, so they are the same wine. And I think, in fact, for members who I hope are buying cases of the wine, you'll probably notice that it is in the Alberdi branded box, and that's the reason why.
It is the same wine. It is the same process. It's just a different lot, but it's all around the Vigna Alberdi.
Perfect. Thank you. And I have a very complimentary question from Alec, who has asked, Vigna Danza Reserva is often, and justifiably, he says, called the best value wine in the world. We like that, Alec. Thank you. He has asked, is that the result of a deliberate philosophy to produce wine for wine drinkers rather than wine investors? I think it's a lovely question.
It's a very good question. I think that the philosophy of La Rioja Alta is to produce amazing wines and making them affordable for people who love drinking. But there is no, we don't play around the pricing, thinking about what it's going to cost in the future. What is true is that Vigna Danza is a wine which has a price who is slightly increasing in the recent years. But no, it's a question of, we have a range made of 2 reservas and 3 wine reservas, and we try to find the best slot that we think are expressing the quality of our wines. But thank you for the comment, because it's something that we tend to hear a lot, which I don't know if it's good or not. But people used to say that the quality ratio price with Vigna Danza is very, very competitive. Yeah,
very fair. And I think the beauty, it's great to hear, because members of the Wine Society are wine drinkers more than wine investors, and it's so important that these wines are bought to open with friends, family, rather than bought to like stocks and shares. So I couldn't agree more. I think our Danza is probably the best value wine in the world, and I think there are some other wines from Spain that would also do that. And I think that's one of the great things about Spanish wine culture, is just the pragmatism that the Spanish have in their approach to making wine. Like food, it's there to be enjoyed and to be drunk.
Exactly. And after the 2012 vintage that you are currently selling, we will move at the end of the year to the very important vintage 15, which for Julio is one of the best vintage in recent years. So we have jumped 13 and 14, and we move straight away to the 15.
Yeah, that will be available, towards the end of the year. I think October, November, no, we're already September, more like November, December, the 2015 will be available.
And just because I have had a few members ask what is the next vintage, we've had an anonymous question just as you were talking, Stefan. I think you were communicating with the members. Can you tell us a little more about the 2015 vintage? What should they expect? I know many of them, it looks like, are already drinking the 2012 and enjoying it now. So what's about
Julio is going to tell you plenty of great things about this vintage.
Of the 15, no?
Yes.
Yes, it's my opinion, could be one of the best vintage of the last time in Rioja, because I tell you before, I like it, the Atlantic character of the wine. All of the wines of the 15 just if La Rioja Alta and other wines or from another wineries of Rioja I testing, all of them have the similar character, the elegance, the vertical tasting, the longer afterstay, the complexity and the freshness. In my opinion, 2015 could be, or must be in the same level of 2005, 2010, probably. 2001 could be the hyper amazing vintage, no? But I think when I testing wines from La Rioja Alta or from another companies of Rioja of this particular year, all of them have the similar elegance and character of the one of the best wines in our history. And all of the people, they are very, very lucky with 2015.
Yeah, we produce all the brands.
All the brands.
They are all very special.
It's not common in our winery produce every year all of our brands. It's uncommon, but only in the 15, in the last 10 years, with the unique wine, the unique year that we produce all of our brands with a high quality.
You were very busy that year, Julio.
Thank you.
And if you want to get a taste of the 15 or what 15 is like, we are currently selling the Arana Gran Reserva 2015, which it's a mind-blowing wine. It's absolutely incredible wine that will just last and last and last, but it's a real beauty, and it showed really well. We tried it after we blended in May, didn't we? So it's a terrific wine.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to be very cheeky and ask 2 more questions. I've just seen one come in from Will that I'd like to know the answer to, which is, Julio, of the La Rioja Alta wines, which is your favorite from 2015?
Probably Viñarana, like Pierre said.
Arana.
Yes. Probably Viñarana. In this moment.
I can feel the website might be popular for that wine this evening.
In 5 years' time, it will be 904 or 890, which I don't think. Oh no, we tried the 904 2015 together. I'm just looking at my notes.
And it's going to be, for the 904, it's going to be the first time in the brand history that's going to be granted the Sélection Especiale, the 15. And it's going to be released around March, April next year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I was going to ask one final question. Pierre mentioned sharing your lovely wines amongst food. And having just visited and stayed in Logroño and got a much better understanding of the food and Rioja culture, I'd love to ask you what your favorite foods are to eat with your wines.
Chuletillas,
lamb chops.
Lamb chops.
Yep.
Lamb chops.
Now it's got to be lamb when it's Rioja.
Now, today is a fantastic day to dinner with Viñarana and lamb chop.
I would say the same. Yeah, lamb chops, definitely a very good pairing.
Yes, just a few days to start the harvest is a very good thing to try.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I suspect I haven't got lamb chops for dinner. Now I want them. the beautiful lamb chops in Rioja, where they cook them on, fresh smoky barbecue or sometimes vine shoots. And oh yeah, that's what I want for dinner tonight, but I suspect that won't be what I'm having. Well, thank you so much, Stefan, Julio, Pierre, and Gil behind the scenes. It goes without saying that I've really enjoyed this evening. Hearing from you all, but I will hand over to Pierre for one last goodbye. But thank you to members who've joined this evening. I'll send you all the information on the wines that we've discussed tonight over email. So thank you, and I'll hand over to you, Pierre.
Cheers. Yeah, thank you, Anna. Thank you, Gil, in the background. It looked like it went smoothly from where I'm sitting, and I hope it did for members. Stefan, Julio, both of you extremely busy, and I know, Julio, you're soon going to be super busy with harvest starting, but really thanks for taking the time out to share, you know, all of the information and background to what you are doing at La Rioja Alta. And I think that the last thing I would say to any member that hasn't visited Logroño or Haro, go there. It's really easy. You can just fly to Bilbao. It's an hour and 10 minutes drive from Bilbao, and it's a fantastic place for food, and of course a fantastic place for wine. So thanks all, and we'll see you at a future Wine Society event. Cheers, Anna. Good night.
Yes.
Real pleasure.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Everybody.
Thank you for all. Bye bye.